Hey everybody, Robbie with Robbie's Reptiles here. Today we're going to do a quick one-take video. We're going to be going over what you do when you have an egg that is around the time that it needs to hatch and it isn't hatching. There are a couple of methods and beliefs when it comes to something like this. A lot of people, usually me included, but I'm doing this for educational purposes today, I usually will never cut an egg. I will let them run its course almost no matter what. However, this is a really important pairing. This is from my monochrome to lily white pairing, and I really don't want to try to leave it up too much to nature, so to speak. So also I figured I could do a good video showing you guys, for educational purposes, how to properly cut open an egg. When would you want to cut open an egg? In this specific circumstance, it has been over 24 hours since the hatchling, since the clutch mate rather, has hatched. So this one should be ready to go. So if I cut it open, it's not going to be underdeveloped. The sibling or the clutch mate has already hatched and is perfectly healthy and perfectly developed. So that's the only reason that I've decided that this is an appropriate time to cut open an egg. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to actually do that. You're gonna want a paper towel because it's gonna get a little bit messy, that's fine. And you're gonna need a knife. You don't have to have a cool knife like this, but this is a gift and I figure that I'll use it for this. So you open up your egg layer box, incubator, whatever you have, and you get the egg. As you can see, this is a well-developed egg. It's quite large now. Let me show you compared to an egg that was just recently laid. So when you compare these two, this is the size of an egg that was hatched about 2 weeks ago, and this is the size of an egg that was hatched about 3 months ago. As you can see, they swell up and get larger. That's because now there's a gecko inside of it. So again, this is an egg from my monochrome to lily white pairing. So this is a rather important baby for me. Really excited to see what's inside of it. Whether it's alive or not, I don't know, but it is at that point where I am taking the responsibility and saying that it's appropriate for it to be hatched by now. So I'm gonna go ahead and assist in what little ways that I can. So usually when you have an egg that's super ready to hatch like this, first things first is this little trick where you can kind of squeeze the egg and roll it. And when you kind of squeeze it and roll it like this, not obviously hard, for some reason, the gecko will start to figure out, oh, it's time to hatch. I need to actually try to hatch. So, I mean, that's usually the first thing I'll do, and then I'll leave it and see if it does any movement or starts to hatch. Usually they don't really. So now it's going to be time to cut open the egg. So here's how we would do that. You get the knife, and I get the pointy side, and I point it away from the egg. Rather than cutting like this, I don't want it to possibly hurt the gecko. So I do this, and I point it away. I'll start by making a very small incision into the egg. And it starts leaking a lot, actually. And that's kind of good actually, because that means that it's still alive inside. Like there's still good nutrients and it was a healthy egg. So that gives you high hopes. And it will just keep leaking and leaking until it runs out. I'm gonna keep making the hole a little bit bigger. And I can feel the gecko moving inside of it now. So if we're lucky, we will get it hatching on camera. So you can see all that stuff is oozing out of it now. Might be hard to see with the white paper towel. But I did see the gecko start to move. So the gecko is alive in there. That's great news. So that right there, that's what the gecko is in. I don't know if you guys can see this on camera. But this bubble, as you can kind of see, I hope, that bubble, once you pierce it, the gecko is going to try to come out. At least that's what I've noticed in my experience. So once you pierce that, then the gecko's little, I guess it would be a placenta? I don't know. But I've noticed that once you pierce that, the gecko starts to really come into action and try to get out. And the gecko should start moving, and if it doesn't, then we'll go on further with assisting. Doing that rolling technique again, kind of trying to stimulate it, show it that something's supposed to be happening. And it doesn't seem that it's going to hatch out, so we're going to go ahead and keep cutting. So we're just going to go along that same incision that we made and keep trying to make it a little bit bigger for the gecko to start figuring it out. And it is hatching. As you can see, its head is over here. So from us starting to disturb the egg, it is now hatching, and you've now witnessed the miracle of life. Hello, little guy. It looks like it is not a lily white. So this is actually the first monochrome lily crossing that we've done that hasn't resulted in a lily white. So that's 3 out of 4 lily whites actually, which is not a bad ratio. So as you can see, we didn't even necessarily have to cut it out. We just had to start disturbing the egg enough for it to want to come out. And this one is super healthy, as you can see. So that always raises the question of, is it morally correct or is it right to hatch to, oh, he's angry too. Wow, a perfectly healthy gecko. I'm trying to get him into my hand for you guys. Wow, he is super feisty. He has bit me 4 times now. So as we can see, a perfectly healthy gecko is hatched out. And, you know, it's up to the owner's discretion whether they want to open the egg, whether they want to assist, whether they want to do an entire cutting of it open, or whether they just want to leave it and let nature take its course. I decided and I took the responsibility of cutting this egg open because its clutch mate had fully hatched and was well overdeveloped. And as you can see, I mean, this is already about a 2-gram hatchling. So I usually incubate at around 70 to 72 degrees. So that usually leads to the geckos being much larger than usual, such as you can see. But again, this is a perfectly healthy gecko, so I'm glad that I decided to cut it open. Again, this is from my lily white to monochrome crossing. This is the first non-visual lily white that's hatched out from that. So fingers crossed that it developed into a visual monochrome. Usually with them, it takes a few grams before they really start showing any sort of signs of being visual. Hopefully in the next 3 months or so, I'll be able to deduce if this is a visual monochrome or not. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and all that YouTube mumbo jumbo. I'll see you guys in the next one.